Mike Gibbons joins us from Ohio. Mike is running for the United States Senate there, and it's so great to have you back, Mike. Welcome to the Paris edition of the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hugh.
You don't know Ed Morrissey. I don't know if you've talked to Ed Morrissey before. He's the editor-in-chief of townhall.com and my regular guest host. Mike, give us a sense of where you think the race in Ohio is. There are 5 candidates. I'm evening out the minutes in this last week as voting is underway in Ohio. How do you think it stands?
We're pretty positive at this juncture. I think nothing's really changed, at least from our what the polling seems to be coming out as. We're confident that we can continue with the lead here and right through the election. Things have tightened up, of course, and we expect that to continue.
Mike, I want to give you a chance to respond. Last week, Jane Timken was on, and she tossed some bricks your way, saying that you had demeaned women and her as a mother not working. Your response?
I've got 2 daughters. In fact, if you go online and check that out, my daughter's president of the Women for Gibbons group, and she would tell you just the opposite. I didn't demean anybody for anything. She's basically made a false presentation of her past. And, I'm not a politician, so I'm not used to this. And what I should do is just ignore whatever anybody says because nobody seems to speak the truth.
Well, and Mike, I think that part of this too is that this is sort of off topic in terms of what voters care about, right? And exactly. we hear a lot from Democrats about equity, about climate change, about all sorts of different things. What is the number one issue that you're hearing about from voters in Ohio? What is their big concern?
Right now, it's inflation, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
And, every single voter has the same issue, and as we all should. And I think in my case, I'm the one that's the most equipped to deal with something like that. That's been my life history. I'm not making up my life history. I've spent my life in investment banking and finance. I studied economics. I've taught economics. Everybody else is just guessing. And I think it's important to send people to the U.S. Senate that actually have a history of and experience in a particular area instead of just kind of faking it. And that seems to be resonating with the voters in my case.
Mike Gibbons, it's you again. We're on right now in every major market in Ohio, from, of course, Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati, including Youngstown and Dayton and Toledo. And I even include Toledo in the Ohio market because even though there are Michigan fans there, they're still part of the state. Where are you strongest in the state? Is it Cleveland? Is it Northeastern Ohio? Or just there's got to be a place where you're doing better than everywhere.
The last poll we had, we are ahead in every major metropolitan area, and we're actually in the field right now. We should know something more later today. But to be honest, we were ahead in every major metropolitan area. But the race has tightened up, and we expect it to tighten up. I am being attacked from every quarter. And, when I first started this, Hugh, I said, we seem to get a pretty good response when I'm out there talking to voters. How come we're not doing better in the polls? And they go, Mike, you don't want to be first in the polls. Well, now I understand why.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, obviously, former President Trump endorsed J.D. Vance. You're running in that lane. That lane's awfully crowded. I've said I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Sometimes the last man standing is the only woman in the race, Jane Timken. Sometimes the last person standing is the only one who doesn't want the Trump endorsement. That would be Matt Dolan. Sometimes the last guy standing is the guy who ran 3 times before you. That's Josh Mandel. What is going on in Ohio? I mean, it's a wild carnival of a race.
It really is. And we had a guy, as you've mentioned the names. Josh Mandel had 92% name recognition in the state when we started. Mine was at 2. And we had to do what we did. We've gained name recognition to some pretty good degree. I was walking out of church on Sunday, and some guy yelled to me as he was walking out and said, "Hey, mister." I said, "What?" He said, "You know who you look like?" And I said, who? And he goes, Mike Gibbons.
Mike. Well, you know what gave me a clue this was crazy, Mike, is when Bernie Moreno dropped out. Bernie, like you, is a businessman. And when Bernie dropped out, I thought that's because he can't make heads or tail of the data. And that's actually what I concluded, is that Bernie could not see a data pattern to win, or he couldn't make out whether he would win.
You know, it's funny you say that, because the morning I saw, we get like 100 pages of polling data. And when I looked at it the morning he dropped out, I said, Bernie's a smart guy. And Bernie has no path here. And it was pretty obvious to me. And sure enough, that very day he dropped out. And I look for the same thing. If I didn't have a chance to win, I would have dropped out. And I've got a very good media group supporting me, and they have shown me a path to victory that remains in place. And, I've taken some hits. It's amazing what people can get away with saying that bear absolutely no resemblance to the truth. And I've been taking one of those every 4 minutes if you watch TV and here in Ohio. But we're fighting it the best we can, and we're retaining a strong position. So I'm
Mike,
I'm pretty positive that the polls may show that we've moved up again, and I'm very positive that we're going to win this race.
Mike, is part of this because voters in Ohio are really looking for something fresh? I mean, Hugh's just done a great job of running down a list of people who've been in politics for a while, right? I mean, Josh Mandel, J.D. Vance has been in the public eye for a long time. Do you think that this is because people are looking for really just something fresh, something that breaks away from the politics as usual that has been going on?
Well, I don't know how they view me, but I've heard they think I tell the truth and I'm authentic. I know that's how I succeeded in business. I thought it would carry over in politics. Apparently, it doesn't all the time. I'll go out and I'll talk about. I'll go out and I'll talk about career politicians, and I'll say we can't entrust our nation's future to career politicians, and everybody applauds. And Josh Mandel has never he served honorably in the Marine Corps. But after that, he has never spent a day in his life in the private sector. And It's not like he's 26 years old. He has run for office or held office every day of his life. And that to him is some sort of an insult. But that's the reality. Yet people are voting for a guy that is the definition of career politician. So
hey, Mike, I got to tell you something. I usually talk up, not about the other people. When I got done with the first debate, I have two questions for you. Who's the best debate moderator thus far? And that should be easy. But then the second is your comment. When I walked out of that first debate, I said to the fetching Mrs. Hewitt, Mike Gibbons reminds me of every dad at every Warren JFK booster meeting I ever went to. And, the football boosters always watch the tape on Monday night. And honestly, I said that Mike Gibbons, who I've never met before, it's just like every dad at the boosters meeting. What do you think about the debate moderator and my description of you?
Well, I think you're correct probably in both of those. No, I do watch the game films.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that. You see, there you go. That's Mike Gibbons, is the dad at the high school who's going to show up, who also happens to make, millions of dollars in business. Would you tell people what you did for a living before you got into politics?
Sure. I'm an investment banker. We call ourselves a middle market firm. I'm very proud of this year. Our firm was number 22 in the league tables this year nationally of all investment bankers, not just middle market. So we're one of the larger middle market firms in the country. And it just goes to show you the American dream's out there, because I started with a desk and a phone. And I've got great partners, but I've been very blessed by this great country and this great state. So it's
Mike. I want to thank you for coming on again and again, and for doing the debate. I want people. I'm not endorsing in this race. I just like everybody in it for different reasons, and I like Mike because he's the guy I've known from Warren, Ohio, forever. Except he's not from Warren, Ohio, and I never met him before the first debate. Mike Gibbons, good to talk to you. Ed Morrissey and I will be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere, America, but go vote if you're in Ohio, because the booths are open at your local Board of Elections. Stay tuned.